Okay, we're going to see how this works here. Uh, we are talking today about training for scouting. So this is the first session here. This is kind of preparing for launch day. So we're going to talk about what happens on launch day and what our role is early on, and look at kind of how we've done things in other years and what the results were, and watch some videos and stuff like that. So let's move through it. So what is launch day? So this happens on a Saturday in early January. Uh, Typically, so it's Saturday in January. This year it is January 8th. So this is when they do the worldwide release online to reveal what the game is for that season, and they release the game manual as well. It's released early as a PDF, but it's password protected, so they basically give you the password on that day, and then everybody can open up the game manual and start reading it. So that happens all over the world on the same day. So we typically have gone to St. Clair College because St. Clair College hosts all the local high school teams on that day. So they get everybody together. They watch the video in a big room there. So it's kind of fun to be able to get together with other teams and all see it together. And then typically what we've done in other years is then come back to the school and have a meeting and talk about what we saw and start brainstorming about what we think we need to do and what we understood from the video and stuff like that. So that is when strategy really starts to kick in, is on launch day. So let's have a look at, we're going to actually go through the 2018 video and look at our robot, kind of how that season played out. But before we do that, let's talk about how the tournaments actually work. So if you're not familiar with how tournaments work, let's look at that. So we're basically building this robot to compete in tournaments. So typically a tournament is going to be 24 to 48 teams, somewhere in that range there. The teams are going to compete in what they call alliances, which will be 3 robots versus 3 robots. These are all randomly made up. So you're with 2 different partners against 3 different robots. Every match that you play, there's a random schedule that's made up when you get to the tournament. So you have different partners all the time. And then what happens is each match, you are basically competing for what are called ranking points. So we go through qualifying matches to try to gather as many ranking points as we can, and we get ranked in order based on how many ranking points you accumulate through qualifying, and then we go into a playoff round after that. So the playoff alliances are selected based on a draft system, where the higher you are ranked, the better your chances are probably of getting picked, and also you actually get to do the picking if you are ranked high enough. So that is our goal, to accumulate enough ranking points that we actually get to pick who our alliance partners are. So the way that points work, during the qualifying matches, and there could be anywhere from 6 to 12 qualifying matches. So typically there is 4 ranking points that can be earned by an alliance, and all 3 members of the alliance get those points. So the game itself, so the match that you play, will have an individual scoring system. Whichever alliance scores the most points during the match, they win the match, and the winner of the match, the way it's always been in past years, and this ranking system could change each year, but this is the way it's been in past years. Typically the winner will get 2 ranking points for winning the match. The loser gets 0. If it is a tie game, then each alliance would get 1 point. So that's how those points are given out. And then there are 2 additional points you can earn as well. So you can earn a maximum of 4 points in a match. So typically there is something relating to either the autonomous section of the match, so the first 15 seconds of each match is typically some type of autonomous functions, which means that the robot is moving completely on its own, just off of its programming and sensors. And then the rest of the match is going off of the operator is actually controlling it. But the first 15 seconds, it has to complete some type of autonomous task or some type of additional task that you're getting scored on. So there's typically a point associated with that. If all three of your robots are able to complete that, then there's a point given out for that. And then the final ranking point is typically completing whatever the end game task is. So there's always some type of end game task. You can see what it is in this one here. But that is how this breaks down. So that kind of explains the scoring. So let's watch the actual launch video from the 2018. I'm just going to bring this up. So this theme, this was actually called First Powerup, so it was a video game theme that year. So we will watch this. This explains the match. There will be a video like this released on the launch day. So we'll watch this, and then I've got some questions for you.
Welcome to the 2018 First Robotics Competition, and this year's game, First Powerup. Two alliances of video game characters and their human operators are trapped in an arcade game. To escape, alliances use power cubes to control switches and the scale, pass power cubes through the exchange for power-ups, and ascend to face the boss. Teams may preload up to one power cube per robot. Additional power cubes are available in the power cube piles, along the fence nearest the scale, and in each alliance portal. At the start of the match, the plates of the scale and the switches are randomized. During the first 15 seconds, robots are autonomous. They work to cross their auto line and place power cubes on the switch and the scale. Alliances who successfully own their switch and have 3 robots cross the auto line will receive 1 ranking point. During the following 2-minute and 15-second teleoperated period, human operators remotely control their robots. They continue to gather power cubes to place on the scale and the switches to gain ownership for the longest time, earning points for each second of ownership. Human operators behind the Alliance Station wall collect power cubes from the exchange. They can deliver them back to the robots through the return or to their vault. In the vault, power cubes may be traded in for 3 power-ups. Alliances choose when in the match to activate each power-up to gain a temporary advantage during the match. The Force power-up gives an alliance ownership of their switch, the scale, or both. The Boost power-up increases scoring for 10 seconds for either their switch, the scale, or both. And near the end of the match, Levitate earns one member of the alliance a free climb. Other alliance members climb from their platform. If all 3 members successfully climb, the alliance can face the boss and gain an additional ranking point. The alliance that earns the most points wins the match and defeats the boss.
Okay, so that was the launch video for 2018. So here is what I would like you to do now. So after this, what you can do is just pause this video and actually answer these questions. So, can you name 5 tasks that the robot would have to perform during a match? So when I say tasks, what I mean is pick up something from somewhere. So Are there multiple game pieces in this game? Are there multiple things you need to pick up? So be specific about this. Pick up something from something. Are there multiple pieces? Are there multiple locations where you can pick things up from? So what are the tasks that you would have to do? So think about, what do we actually need to build that's capable of completing those tasks? So what do we actually need to do as tasks? So do we need to pick things up? Do we need to deliver those to different locations? Are there different locations where we need to go to as well? Are there any special obstacles that we need to move across or climb over or climb? Is there any field implement or thing on the field that we need to manipulate in some way? Do we need to control something? Do we need to move something? Is there anything like that? Do we need to move in any special way? Does the robot need to move with any special thing like that we need to consider? So what are some of the tasks that we need to do? Here's some other questions for you. Aside from winning the match, how are the 2 extra ranking points earned during this game? So there's 2 points for winning the match based on the scoring system, but then there's 2 extra ranking points you can get as well. How do you actually get those 2 points? And then here's some other ones as well. What are the things you could possibly do in autonomous? So think about that. What could you make your robot do in autonomous? And then here's some weird ones here. What do you think our robot was actually capable of doing in autonomous? So what do you think we actually accomplished in autonomous with our robot during that season? So what was our capability? And then what do you think is the limit of what is possible in autonomous? And I will give you some examples of that. So how much do you think someone could actually do with their robot in autonomous mode? So during that 15 seconds, what do you think would be possible to do in the autonomous mode? And then a final one here. How many cubes do you think our robot can possibly handle in one match? So that is 150 seconds altogether. That includes 15 seconds of autonomous, and then allotting some time to try to do the climb portion at the end. So 150 seconds altogether, 2.5 minutes, including the autonomous and including the climb. How many cubes do you think we can actually handle in one match? Is it 2? Is it 5? Is it 100? What do you think is the actual realistic number for that? Okay? So what we are going to do is we're going to watch the video again, and then after this is done, after the video plays again, pause this video and actually answer those questions. So go back and answer these questions after you watch the video again. So we will watch it again here. I'm going to run it again, and then once this plays again, go back and pause this video, answer the questions, and then start playing again. We're going to actually have a discussion about your answers.
Welcome to the 2018 First Robotics Competition, and this year's game, First Powerup. 2 alliances of video game characters and their human operators are trapped in an arcade game. To escape, alliances use power cubes to control switches and the scale, pass power cubes through the exchange for power-ups, and ascend to face the boss. Teams may preload up to 1 power cube per robot. Additional power cubes are available in the power cube piles, along the fence nearest the scale, and in each alliance portal. At the start of the match, the plates of the scale and the switches are randomized. During the first 15 seconds, robots are autonomous. They work to cross their auto line and place power cubes on the switch and the scale. Alliances who successfully own their switch and have 3 robots cross the auto line will receive 1 ranking point. During the following 2-minute and 15-second teleoperated period, human operators remotely control their robots. They continue to gather power cubes to place on the scale and the switches to gain ownership for the longest time, earning points for each second of ownership. Human operators behind the Alliance Station wall collect power cubes from the exchange. They can deliver them back to the robots through the return or to their vault. In the vault, power cubes may be traded in for 3 power-ups. Alliances choose when in the match to activate each power-up to gain a temporary advantage during the match. The Force power-up gives an alliance ownership of their switch, the scale, or both. The Boost power-up increases scoring for 10 seconds for either their switch, the scale, or both. And near the end of the match, Levitate earns one member of the Alliance a free climb. Other Alliance members climb from their platform. If all 3 members successfully climb, the Alliance can face the boss and gain an additional ranking point. The Alliance that earns the most points wins the match and defeats the boss.
Time to talk.
Okay, so we've watched the video twice now, so you should be able to answer those questions. So let's pause here and answer the questions, and we will discuss. So let's pause here and have a discussion. All right, so if we come back from our pause, let's carry on. So, of the tasks that were listed, how would you rank them in order of importance? So, if we had to say we are going to build our robot, and these are all the tasks that it is going to do, what would be the order of importance that we would want them? So, if we couldn't do everything that was on our list, what would we prioritize? Because this is really the key component of strategy, is figuring out how do we prioritize those tasks. So again, let's pause here and take our list that we put together and prioritize that list. Okay, so if we have completed that portion, let's carry on. And we'll look at what we actually did in 2018. So, when we evaluated this game and decided what we were going to try to build, this is how we prioritized that list and what we actually built. So, our focus was on scoring on the low target, which I believe they call the exchange, and being able to score on the low switch. We decided not to try to put cubes on the high scale in the middle. So we tried to do everything low. So we're going to build a low robot. We were going to make sure we could climb in the middle. So we thought that was important. And we were going to try to be very strong in the autonomous mode. We were going to try to deliver cubes onto the low switch in autonomous. And we wanted to be good at that. So those were our priorities. So we built a very good robot that year. This is what it looked like during the development build stage. Here you probably recognize that room. And here is a video of us testing our climbing mechanism for the very first time. And we actually changed this climbing mechanism during the season as well to put on a better one. This is us testing our climber. This is it retracting.
It doesn't look like it wants to just snap down, right? It is.
Alright, so that was exciting. That was us running that up for the first time. This is us practicing in the hallway with the robot. So you can see us with our wooden game pieces. So this looks like the exchange from the field. So they give you all the plans to build these out of wood. So we had that built to practice with.
Basically disaster situation there then because you just block that, right? If it's like that, we can pick it up then.
I think I need the wheels right here too.
I want to put it back.
No. Yeah, just like we can move those wheels closer together.
And is this all going on from the opposite end of the field?
Yeah, now I can get it.
No.
Or
Not in the queue.
where are you guys at? Are you guys 100 feet away when they're trying to?
No, same side.
Okay.
Because that's going to go in the bowl behind you.
Okay. So they can see what's going on and picking up the cubes pretty well.
There's two eyes on either by the motor.
Alright, so that is early testing. So, how did we actually do that year? We actually did really well. So we did the Georgian event, that's in Barrie, Ontario. The Western event in London. We actually won this event, so we'll look at some video of that. We came in second in the qualifying rounds in Georgian, and then lost in the playoffs. We lost in the second round of the playoffs. We got to the semifinals, basically, in this event. We won the finals in this event. We qualified for the provincials. We did pretty poorly at the provincials, but we still earned more points there. And we ended up going to Worlds that year. And we did not do very well at Worlds, but we did get there, which was a pretty good accomplishment. And you can see, basically, you're earning points at each event. So the total number of points here. So basically, the number of points overall that you earn in your two qualifying events. The top 80, I believe, teams in Ontario, based on their points, go to provincials, and then the top 30 in Ontario coming out of provincials, which is a combination of all three of these points added together, go to Worlds. So that is how you get to Worlds, and you can see this is all, the points are accumulated based on how you do in qualifying, how you do in the playoffs, and points for winning awards. And you can see we were winning Industrial Design Awards, winning the event, Industrial Design Award again. We won that twice that year. So we earned a lot of points along the way in this one. So let's watch some actual videos of how we performed overall. So the best place to see videos is on the Blue Alliance website. So if we go here, you can see all of our videos from that year. They are all archived here. You can look at all of our matches from that year. you can look at how we performed in every single match that we played. So we're going to start off by looking at qualifying match 6 from the Georgian event. So this is our second event of the year, second match of the year. So competition gets better as you go along too. So this is our second match of the year. So let's watch how this one plays out. So where are we here? We are that's us right over here. Just making sure this is the one I want. I think this is the one I want. Alright, so we are right here. That's us in the middle over there behind the glass. In the blue shirts. This is our robot right here. So you can see we're going to come out, do our autonomous. Our autonomous is basically drive forward and try to score that cube onto this switch right here. So you can see everyone's behind the line to start. So you can see we came out and dumped that on there. At this point, that's all our autonomous does. Our autonomous improved throughout the year as well. That's what we were capable of right away. And I can just see how this match plays out. So the blue team is up on points very early here. And what we do is basically we grab cubes from here and we put them into the vault right here. That's basically our game. It's basically just shuttling back and forth right here. Controlling this switch by basically putting enough cubes on here to win it, and then dumping cubes into here as fast as we can. So we were very, very good at this. We could do this very fast and very effectively. You can see the points accumulating as we go down here. You can see Michael. He's our human player here. He's stacking these up to get the power-ups. Looks like one disabled robot over here. And you can see now we are attempting to go for our climb in here now. So we are driving ourselves in here. We're going to try to hook our hook onto this thing and climb. So in a second you'll see our hook come up here. So that's hooking on right there. So we basically deploy a hook, and then we have a winch that pulls us up. So we are winching ourselves up into the air right now, and we are there hanging in the air. So that is what we do for our climb. And at the end of the match, you can see we have 275 to 196, so we won the match. We get our 2 points for winning. And then the other things for the autonomous, we only got let's see what this shows us here. It breaks it all down here. So we won. We get 3 ranking points earned because we completed all of our autonomous tasks. They did not complete their autonomous tasks. Nobody got the end game points because they needed 3 climbs to get the the end game ranking point. We only got the one we get from putting the cubes into the vault, which gets us the extra point, and then we only got one robot climbing. That bar in the middle is very small. You can really only fit one robot on it. You need to figure out a way to get an extra point out of that. But you can see we are now ranked 14th in the tournament. This is qualifying match 6 of 56 altogether. So that is kind of what a match looks like. And you can see the quality of play at that level. This is very early in the season. This is week 1, pretty early, very early in the season. And quality of play is not the best at this point. So let's look at some other things. So let's get out of here. And let's look later in the year. Let's look at the Western event. We are going to watch the final match of the event. So final number 3. So it is tied 1-1 going into the deciding match of the finals. So let's watch this. So this is about 5 weeks later, so we've made a lot of improvements since then. So things you will notice, we've changed our climber. Our climber is now really fast. We have changed our autonomous. So instead of just dropping a cube and sitting there, we now drop a cube, come back, and at one point we're actually picking up a second cube and turning around. We changed this to just being parked right in front of this pile of cubes. So you can see we drop a cube, then come out and back up, and basically sit here now. So this is us. That's our team down there. This is us. And this is St. Anne's and Villanova, and our all Essex County alliance here. So we're going to come over here, drop. Back up and get in position. We are all set to grab the next cube. So you can see how much better that autonomous is than the first week of the year. So we made drastic improvements on that. You'll also see now the scale is a major factor in here as well.
In position, they're going to try and deposit that cube. They are successful. They immediately neutralize their partners. 4688 going to try and take it for the red. They do. All right, Red Alliance now owning that scale. Looks like 6378. Links stationary on the blue side. Drivers trying to figure out what they're trying to go with. 4688, another cube. 5596 response, but 5885 just laying on those cubes. Double boost already for the Red Alliance. They're going to try and time this lead to be even more. All right, we have Links back in action. They're not going to go down easy. Blue Alliance wants this one bad. 5885 taking another cube from the Ewan player, making sure it fits. They're good. 4688, careful placement, and they're good. 5885 combating on that Red Alliance.
So at this point, we are in a fight here for possession of this. We have 3 on here. They have 2. We are trying to control this teeter-totter to make it balance our way. We have 4-2 on here, and we are down 3-2 on this one. So they're in control of this one, so they're scoring over here. We are scoring here, and we are scoring here right now.
Scale, switch, sorry. They're working on 4903. Going for another switch score. 5885 takes a possession away from the Blue Alliance on the switch. Blue Alliance now owns 0 scoring elements. This is not good for them. They're going to try and make a comeback. Here they go. They got it back. They're not going to go down now. They're not going down today. Let's go. 4688 coming out. They're trying to grab that cube. They're trying to fight on those switches. They're trying to make the difference. They have the lead by about 50 points. They're trying to keep it that way. 5596 depositing a cube. Not quite enough to knock over that switch. Red Alliance just battling out. Robotics back to the vault. More and more power up. We have some levitates activated.
Now this is really cool here. So this is Villanova. They're going to climb in the middle over here. And then you'll see this bar on the side of their robot. Once they climb, this pops out to the side. And we are going to come over and grab onto that bar and climb off of that little extension bar off the side of their robot.
As 30 seconds come, 58.85. They didn't lock on last time, but they're locked on now. Here we go. They're climbing 49.03. Gonna go for the double. 55.96 on the blue line.
So we're actually grabbing onto a piece of their robot that hangs off the side here. And this is us. This is our new climber.
In position, trying to get good. Double hang on the red alliance, single on the blue. Will this be it? Blue needs the park. Last second boost on the twitch. Is it enough? 2, 1, 0. The party's jumping, yeah, and the vibe feels so strong.
So that was the championship game. So we're waiting for the final scores to come in, just to make sure, but we're pretty sure that we won that. So that was that one. So that was a pretty well played game, but let's look at the top level of Ontario. So let's look at for the Ontario Provincials. Let's look at the final match number 1. So this is featuring 1325. It's an inverse paradox. That's who we lost to at Georgian, and that's who we teamed with when we lost in the finals at Georgian the next year. So they were our partners there. Build a Dream from Windsor. They were in this. Their robot was terrible, but they were in the final anyway. And 2056, who is a world-class level team. And they are against 2200, so that is MRAM. Is that the right one here? Yeah, this is who I want. Okay. We're going to watch this. So, what we want to see here, what is possible in autonomous? We're going to check that out and then look at the climb that they do for 2056. We're basically going to watch 2056 in this one. You'll also see on the blue lines here, it gives you all of the data here from each match as well. There's a ton of information that's available to watch here. Oh, I'm watching the wrong division, that's why. This is the science division. Well, let's watch this one and see what happens. So 2056 is right here. They've got the white on their side.
3, 2, 1, power up!
So let's watch them in autonomous. So they just did one. Alright, let's watch the climb here. So watch this robot here. They're going to grab on and watch this thing come down on the back. These little rails here. Looks like a little forklift. They couldn't get it there. We'll watch it in the next match. Looking at the wrong one here, so we'll watch them in the next. This is what I want here. Provincial Championship. Alright, this is the very final.
Ladies and gentlemen,
That's Karthik gonna talk forever.
to the final. Finale. Celtec go
Okay.
in for a treat here at
Alright, let's watch this here.
drivers behind the line.
Again, this is 2056 right here. And on the other side, Celtics is here. They are another world-class team. They were actually in the finals of Worlds last year. In 2019. So they are another world-class team. These teams are both from the Hamilton area.
3, 2, 1. Powerup. Get in for a treat here. It's 2056. Gonna go for the switch. That's Sir Lancer bought on the blue side. Celtec going up high. 1 apiece on the scale. That's 2 for red, 2 for blue. 2 in the switch on each side. We're gonna go for 3. 3 apiece.
Okay, so these teams both delivered in autonomous. They delivered 3 on the scale in autonomous. So when we talk about what is possible in autonomous, our goal was basically put 1 cube in here. These guys delivered 3 into here. So they started with 1, drove out here, dropped it, drove over here, picked one up off the ground, dropped it, picked another one up off the ground, and placed it up here, all autonomously. So all driving without operator. That is all programming and sensors doing that. So that is pretty amazing that they can do that. So that is kind of the limits of what you can do in autonomous mode. So at the high levels, there is a lot that can be done in autonomous.
This is incredible. We are out and red has a lead on the scale.
And you'll really notice in this one, this is all about the scale, and you'll see this is just a big pile of cubes on here.
Got another cube up. That was Celtec. Check out Sir Lancer Ball. Put it up on the scale. Inverse paradox. They're gonna hit it. Holding it down for red. It's basically even here. OP Robotics going up high. Can they get their cube on? Dropping it on. Another one from Celtec. Another from Inverse Paradox. This is incredible back and forth action here. We have some defense being played by the Amazon Warriors trying to slow down Sir Lancerbach. They lost
look at that. Is that there? That is their double. So they've got 2 robots in the air. They've got 2 robots in the air. But this one actually, they just drop their forks down. The second robot just drives onto it and they lift both robots.
Coming down as they hang. This is going to be a tight finish. 363, 379. Who knows? The unofficial score, 386 to 368 for your Blue Alliance. Let's wait for our referees to lock this in. This is too close.
So that was pretty good. So that kind of gives you an idea of what is possible at the high levels. So what did we do wrong that year? So from the strategy side, we really underestimated how important the scale was going to be. So we concentrated on doing the low things and ignored being able to put anything up high on the scale. So we were not capable of lifting a cube up to the scale. And what we found out is in the early competitions, we could win and we could be very good. We could win matches that way. But when we got into better competition, we got into playoffs, basically nobody wanted to be our partner because we could not do the scale. So for example, in the Georgian event, there was 20-something robots there. There was only about 7 that were actually capable of doing the scale. And if you didn't have a scale robot on your team, you were going to lose. Because as soon as somebody puts 1 cube on the scale, they own the scale for the entire match, and your team can't do anything about it. So without a scale robot, you are in trouble. And what we found was in the playoffs, all of the robots that are capable of scoring high were the ones that were being picked. So we would do really well, but we were not getting picked. So unless we controlled our own destiny, we were unable to advance in the playoffs. We also found out being able to do a double climb was very important. If we would have had that capability on our robot, we could be a partner in a double climb, but we could not provide a double climb. So like Villanova was doing, like 2056 was doing, they were controlling, making up for deficiencies of other robots on their own. And we also figured out how to actually scout effectively. This was our first time really scouting, because the first time it really mattered to us, because we never were a factor before. We never had the opportunity to actually be in a position where we would be picking other teams before. So it actually came into play here. We had the 2nd pick overall, and we didn't really know how to scout effectively. So we didn't pick a very good alliance, and we didn't advance very far in the playoffs in our first event. So we since then have become much better at scouting. So that's kind of what we learned from that year. And that kind of gives you an idea of what scouting is about at the beginning, with the launch and then making decisions and how the build season goes and how a season actually plays out. Hopefully that gives you some idea of what that's like, and we will go from there. All right. So if anybody has any questions or anything, we will continue from here.